You think you are strong, but let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many times have you reacted instantly when someone insulted you? How many times have you defended yourself immediately when someone questioned your decisions? How many arguments did you enter just because your ego felt attacked in that moment? At the time, it probably felt necessary, like you were protecting your reputation or your identity. But if you look deeper, you will realize something important. You were reacting, not controlling. Most people believe power means responding fast and fighting back harder. But in psychology, the person who reacts first usually loses control of the situation. When someone pushes your emotional buttons and you explode without thinking, you're giving them confirmation that they successfully triggered you. That confirmation is leverage, and leverage is power in social dynamics. Manipulation rarely looks dramatic. It usually looks like subtle comments, sarcastic jokes, silent treatment, or carefully placed words designed to test your reaction. If someone understands what makes you defensive or insecure, they do not need physical force to influence you. They only need emotional access. Power dynamics like this were studied long ago by political thinkers who understood human behavior at a deep level. One of the most famous was Machiavelli. He observed that real control in leadership and society does not come from aggression alone. It comes from understanding perception, influence, and emotional reactions. His writings showed that rulers who mastered human psychology stayed in power longer because they did not react emotionally to every threat. Instead, they calculated responses and controlled the narrative. That principle still applies today in personal relationships, business, and social status. Attention is the fuel behind most psychological control. Everything around you competes for your attention. Social media, gossip, conflict, opinions, and even people who provoke drama on purpose. Why? Because attention equals validation. The moment you give attention to someone who intentionally triggered you, you reinforce their behavior. Psychologically, you reward the action, and rewarded behavior repeats. Think about it deeply. If someone says something disrespectful and you instantly respond with anger, they achieved their goal. They got your emotional energy. They got your focus. They got proof that their words mattered. But imagine the opposite situation. Someone tries to provoke you. They expect frustration. They expect an emotional reaction. They expect you to defend yourself aggressively. And instead you pause. You observe. You detach. You give them silence. That silence creates uncertainty. And uncertainty creates discomfort for people who rely on control. When someone attacks and receives zero emotional fuel back, their brain starts questioning the effectiveness of their strategy. Did it work? Did they care? Why didn't they react? That mental confusion often feels heavier than any argument. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. It removes emotional fuel from unnecessary conflict. Without fuel, most toxic interactions die naturally because there is no longer a reward attached to them. Now let's talk about strategic withdrawal. This concept is often misunderstood. It does not mean isolating yourself from society. It does not mean disappearing just to look mysterious. It does not mean cutting everyone off emotionally. Strategic withdrawal means controlling access to your presence. You stay active in your life. You build your goals. You connect with people. But you stop allowing unlimited access to your time and emotional energy. You do not respond instantly to every message. You do not engage in every debate. You do not allow interruptions to break your focus constantly. You choose when to engage and when to step back. When someone always has access to you, they start taking you for granted. They assume availability is automatic. But when access becomes selective and intentional, your presence gains value. Scarcity increases perceived importance, and value rises when availability is not guaranteed. This principle works in friendships, business relationships, romantic dynamics, and even online influence. Boundaries create respect, but consistency in enforcing boundaries creates power. Now we move deeper into emotional triggers. Every person has them. Certain words hit differently. Certain tones feel personal. Certain situations instantly activate emotional responses before rational thinking even begins. Maybe being called weak makes you defensive. Maybe being ignored makes you angry. Maybe being compared to someone else makes you insecure. These triggers usually come from past experiences where similar situations caused emotional pain. The problem is not having triggers. Everyone has them. The real problem is allowing other people to discover your triggers and use them strategically. Powerful individuals study their triggers instead of pretending they don't exist. They reflect on why certain comments affect them. They analyze the emotional root behind their reaction. Then they gradually reduce sensitivity to those triggers. When someone tries to press a button and nothing happens, their control disappears. Words lose power when they stop creating emotional disruption inside you. And once your reactions are no longer automatic, manipulation becomes extremely difficult. Another powerful tool in dark psychology is strategic ignoring. There is a massive difference between ignoring someone because you are emotionally hurt and ignoring someone because you consciously evaluated the situation and decided engagement adds no value. Emotional ignoring still means the situation controls your feelings. Strategic ignoring means you observed, calculated, and chose not to participate. Some people survive by provoking reactions. They create drama because attention gives them importance. They escalate situations because conflict gives them visibility. If you respond every single time, you become part of their cycle. But if you consistently ignore unnecessary provocation and redirect your focus toward growth, that cycle slowly weakens. Over time, people stop trying tactics that fail. Imagine someone spreading rumors about you. If you immediately defend yourself everywhere, you amplify the rumor and keep it alive. But if you focus on building real results, improving your skills, and showing progress through action, reality eventually speaks louder than gossip. People observe behavior over time. They compare words with consistent proof. Truth reveals itself naturally when performance replaces explanation. Now remove energy parasites from your environment. These are not always obvious enemies. Sometimes they are people close to you. Sometimes they act supportive. Sometimes they act friendly. But they constantly bring problems, constant emotional drama, constant requests for help, while rarely offering support in return. That imbalance slowly drains your mental strength, and because the relationship feels familiar, you tolerate it longer than you should. But familiarity does not mean healthy. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is strategic survival. You cannot build power if your attention is continuously pulled into other people's chaos. Power requires discipline over who gets access to your time and mind. Now, build emotional armor. You cannot control what people say about you. You cannot control jealousy. You cannot control misunderstanding. You cannot control how others interpret your decisions. But you can control how deeply those opinions affect your identity. Most people allow criticism to immediately shake their confidence. One negative comment ruins their focus. One insult changes their mood. One disagreement shifts their entire perspective. That means external opinions are indirectly controlling their emotional stability. Emotional armor means understanding one powerful truth. Opinions reflect the mindset and insecurity of the person speaking, not your actual value. If someone attacks you verbally, it often reveals something unresolved inside them. When you internalize that understanding, criticism stops hitting as hard as it used to. Finally, real power reaches its highest level through calculated inaction. Society constantly pushes the idea that you must respond quickly, compete aggressively, defend your position, and prove your worth repeatedly. But sometimes the strongest move is doing nothing. When someone tries to provoke you, you refuse engagement. When someone tries to create unnecessary drama, you step away. When someone expects emotional escalation, you stay calm and composed. Calculated inaction is not laziness. It is intelligent energy management. It means you preserve your mental resources for goals that actually improve your life. It creates unpredictability, and unpredictability reduces manipulation because people cannot forecast how you will react. When you combine everything together, controlling your attention, mastering silence, practicing strategic withdrawal, ignoring intentionally, removing energy drains, strengthening emotional armor, and applying calculated inaction, your behavior transforms. People begin to notice that they cannot easily trigger you anymore. They feel your boundaries. They respect your calmness. They understand that access to your emotional reaction is no longer automatic. That is dark psychology applied correctly, not loud, not aggressive, not toxic, but controlled, aware, and strategically powerful. If this resonated with you, drop a comment and tell me which principle hit you the hardest. And subscribe if you want deeper breakdowns like this.